have to be your biggest fan. And when things are really tough and they're really rough and nothing's working, but there's something inside of you that says, I just have to follow that. Because you don't know who you're going to be, who you're going to be, who you're going to be.
Good afternoon, guys. Welcome back to my channel. So, as you'll have seen in the title, what I wanted to talk about today was my favorite apps for productivity and well-being. And this is kind of following on from one of my previous videos. I will link that down below for you, and that was what's on my iPhone. And I did kind of lightly touch on some apps and things that I have on there, but a couple of you requested that I go into more detail about what I'm specifically using them for and how I use them. And I am a to-do list girl. I am very, very productive, action-orientated, very motivated and driven towards my goals, whether it be in my job, that is my 9 to 5, or doing YouTube videos. And I just think some of these apps are free ones that you can easily download and things that will completely change and up the productivity and the way that you run either just your personal life or your little side hustles and businesses. So let's get straight into it, and I can share all of those with you. And just a super quick thank you to Jarvie Coffee. As you would have seen, my favorite way to start off any day is definitely with a coffee. So it's microdose 100% Arabica, and I will leave all of the details down to Jarvie as well. And I do believe I have a discount code, so you'll be able to get a little sneaky discount on that as well. So the first app I want to start off with is Pinterest. And the reason that I think this is such a great one for productivity is because I have spent a lot of time, and I do kind of try and spend a little bit of time every single day adding new pictures to my boards or even creating new boards. So on my Pinterest, I have things like home inspiration, I've got events inspiration, photo shoot things for getting Instagram pictures. So instead of just kind of panicking when you're in front of a camera and having no idea how to pose, because of course none of us are like professional models who just have a library of poses in our head, then I just simply click on and refer to this folder, and I've got 50 or 60 images saved in there of really cute poses and ideas and things that I could kind of style some of my imagery around. Some other things I've got in there are home office inspiration, things that were on my vision board, quotes and things that I'll share on my Instagram to keep my engagement up. And I think all of these things are such great ideas. There's even an entire board that I've got of healthy food inspiration. If I'm just no idea what I'm going to make for dinner, then I can just click on that and refer to it. And a lot of people on there share their amazing recipes and things as well. So I think Pinterest has no end in sight of things that you can find that relate to something you're trying to do, whether it be planning a wedding, an event, or simply just looking for some food ideas. So I definitely recommend jumping on there. I will leave my Pinterest link down below to give you a couple of ideas of how I organize all that stuff. But love this app, and as a very visual person, it's something that I use every single day. The next app that I absolutely love in terms of productivity is Spotify, and that might seem like a little bit of a weird one, but very similar to my approach on Pinterest, I have organized a bunch of my playlists into things that really kind of set the mood. So whether it just be a really relaxing, chilled playlist that I might put on in the afternoon if I'm winding down after work, or there might be proper workout playlists so I don't have to stuff around trying to find music. I've already got songs in there that are ready to go for when I want to go for a run. And I also use it for listening to educational podcasts. And that's the bit that I feel has really upped my productivity, because when I used to just go for a big long walk, I would just listen to music. And I do love listening to music, and I do have all of my favorite songs, but I just think if you're using those apps in a more educational kind of way and then favoriting all of your podcasts, it's been a real game changer for me with all of the lockdown and working from home and living alone as well, because that is a little bit isolating. So when I have a podcast on, I feel like I'm actually having a conversation with somebody, I'm thinking about ideas, and I often end up journaling after episodes and writing down a couple of my thoughts. So that has certainly upped my productivity, because it almost feels like using an app like Audible or something where you're listening to a book. Now, if you're like me and you don't happen to have a laptop, because I had one when I was in uni, and then when I started working full time, I just really didn't need one anymore, because I'm an architect and a lot of the things we do are major 3D complicated buildings which require you to have a proper desktop computer set up. So I ended up selling my laptop after uni, and I haven't had one since. And I did used to have a tablet, but of course that is a little bit old now and very clunky and slow. So something I got in the meantime before I end up going out and buying a laptop is just this little wireless keyboard. So I got this from Logitech. It was literally $99 and super, super handy because your phone literally just like slots into the top of it like so. And it just means that I now have an active keyboard instead of having to type on the phone if I'm doing some longer things like journaling or taking notes, and I can literally just use this as I would with a little laptop keyboard instead. So that one is very handy because I use that in conjunction with the standard Notes app on my iPhone. So the Notes app, I have gone through and organized all of my things into a ton of different folders and made it really relevant to me, because I used to just randomly use it for like grocery lists before I go to the supermarket, or a couple of to-do list items that might have just been on my mind. And even sometimes before I go to bed, I might roll over and quickly type out a note because it's just an idea that I don't want to forget. So I found this really, really handy because, like I said, if I am reading a book and I don't want to physically sit there and write things down, I can just type it all up into my Notes app and then either email it to myself or copy it to some other appropriate place, wherever that might be. But it just allows me to do that on the go because that keyboard is so tiny that it can literally fit into a handbag. So very, very handy and a really good way to use your Notes app by not just kind of having things stacked in there, when you can actually kind of categorize them into notes. Another more, I guess, sophisticated app that I know of to use notes is Evernote. So my partner uses Evernote and absolutely raves about it, but I guess I just don't take enough notes in there at the moment to warrant me kind of getting a whole separate app for that, but it's definitely one worth looking into as well. An app I absolutely cannot live without is Dropbox and also Google Drive. So I use both. I guess you could just use one or the other. It really depends on what people's preference is. So I have an account with both, and on Dropbox I pay for a membership. I think it's around $17 a month, and it is incredibly handy because I have other apps on my phone that I'll need to download videos or photos from my Dropbox straight onto my phone as a high quality file, do some editing, and then pass them back on to whatever platform they are. For example, my thumbnails for YouTube. So love Dropbox. I think it is so, so handy, and having the ability to share file folders with people as well is incredibly helpful, whether it be something like I took some photos for a friend's wedding, so I ended up putting them in a folder and I could send them off to both of them to download. And it kind of just removes that old school need for having a USB or CDs or something like that to have a hard copy of, when you can literally send people immediate digital files ready for their download with really easy links that you can copy in. So love both of those apps and love that I can have them on both my desktop and my phone. Next app that I really frequently use, and I would definitely recommend to everyone, especially if you're just going to get the free version, because I pay for the premium version, but that is Canva. And Canva is so handy. It's essentially like Photoshop, but a very simplified version that is directly on your phone. And once you have an account, you can also use the desktop version. So I find that so, so handy. It has hundreds and thousands of templates for all sorts of different things, whether it be an invoice, a business card, a YouTube thumbnail, all kinds of things that would be very helpful for you if you need something kind of aesthetic. So you want something to look a little bit nicer. You could even design your own to-do lists and things on there. And it is really, really great. And just being able to do that all so quickly on your phone and export the files straight away, even ones with little moving animated parts and things, is just incredibly helpful, and I think it's just a free app that everybody could jump on board with. My other photo editing app of choice is Lightroom. So this is Adobe Lightroom, which I would essentially say is a light version of Photoshop, and it has a ton of amazing features in there. I use photo presets which I've created to edit all of my photos, and if you are interested, I will be releasing those really soon. So if you have seen on my Instagram or in my thumbnails the way that my images kind of look and you're into that, then I will put those out very shortly. But Lightroom is just incredible. Like I said, you can adjust the shadows, the whiteness, everything that you kind of can't do in Instagram with those typical templates it gives you, and your photos will just really pop and look 1,000 times more professional than some of those other apps that, like I said, they kind of do a lot of what I would think is old school looking photo editing now, like really upping the saturation and things like that. And Lightroom for me is just what a professional photographer or content creator would use. So if you're putting out any professional imagery or even just beautiful pictures of you on holiday or with your family or something, I would still recommend using Lightroom because it's free and it is just brilliant. Notion, or you can just get in and design it all yourself. And the way that I would kind of describe it is it almost feels like having your own website where you can have multiple pages, multiple tabs open where you track a bunch of different things. So whether you have a tab for finances, for your to-do list, I have a content calendar in there for YouTube where I put all of my ideas and links to things, kind of like I don't know, it's just like an ideas board really. I would liken it to having post-it notes up on a wall, except they're all digital, so everything is already there and ready to go. So I really do like this app, and I think it just, like I said, takes a little bit of time and patience in learning it and setting it up, and I would definitely recommend watching some tutorials here on YouTube. There are people who are total experts in Notion, so I will absolutely leave that to them because they know far more than I do about the app. But I just sat down and spent a couple of hours on a weekend watching a bunch of people's tutorials and then went through and found all of the most useful features for myself. And I really do like it because, yet again, it is compatible with desktop and with your phone, so you can kind of just take it on the go and really add and change your ideas as they pop into your head. In terms of any kind of business outcomes that you might have, like for example, creating a logo, an app that I could not recommend enough is Fiverr. So yet again, desktop and phone compatible, and it is basically a marketplace where you can go on and advertise a project, whether it be really big or small. It might be, like I said, something as simple as creating a logo for your business, which is what I've used it for previously. Like, I had an idea and I roughly kind of mapped it out, sketched some imagery, had a go of making it, and then I just sent it off to someone and paid them a small fee. And obviously the name is Fiverr, so it is meant to be $5. However, there certainly are people on there who charge more for their services, and you can browse through people's portfolios and have a look at their capabilities and then just make your own mind up about what you think the worth is. But I found it incredibly helpful. It was kind of like having a virtual assistant because I just tasked somebody with this thing. They were sending me drafts. I would give them feedback. I could send it back again. And then eventually I got the final product, and at a fraction of what it would cost if I had to engage a professional graphic designer here in Australia. Now, I won't list Instagram as a productivity app because it is a huge time waster for me pretty much every day when I end up scrolling through things. But again, similar to the Pinterest idea, I think if you are using these apps in a productive way, like following accounts that really inspire you, or for accounts that have advice, or they're talking about societal issues that you really care about, then I think it can be a little bit more impactful than if you're just using it to kind of browse your friends' photos from the weekend. So I do often say to people, go through your Instagram and unfollow anything that is not serving you or not inspiring you, and really just try and do a little bit of a cleanup and find accounts that really resonate with what your kind of direction in life is and where you're headed. And secondary to that, if you are posting on Instagram, which I believe many of us are, but again, if you're posting to try and gain some kind of following and get a little bit of traction, then I would certainly recommend using the app Planarly. So Planarly helps me plan out my grid and how it's going to look. And I never used to use an app like this. I would just upload things and just hope for the best and think, they probably should have been in a different order, but oh well, like it is what it is. But it is an excellent app because if you were to want to do like a 6-photo grid and add all different things in, it would really allow you to lay that out properly and see how that's going to look. But also, if you're just trying to create a really consistent aesthetic and build up your account and kind of make it so that people would really want to follow you because they can see your vibe straight off, then I would certainly recommend using this because, like I said, you can preload all of your posts and captions, schedule them for when you want them to upload, and already see how they're going to look before they go live. One of my favorite recommendations, which is something that was recommended to me, so I do always love to pass those educational recommendations on to other people, and that is Udemy. So Udemy is an online course platform, and again, extremely affordable up to the very high-end expensive range. So you can get courses for free, which is excellent because people have really put a lot of time and energy into creating these things. And you can also get cheap courses. I've bought a couple to train myself when I first started learning video editing that were around the $30 to $50 mark. And then there are full-blown courses which will be thousands of dollars, and they are really done by the experts, which have a ton of modules for you to work your way through. And if you have never done an online course before, I feel like this industry is booming. So whether you are writing a course or wanting to partake in one, for anything to do with maybe exercise, well-being, it might be training yourself in a particular skill that you've just always wanted to learn. There are so many options on there, and I just think it's great to even download it and have a browse because, like I said, it's a great gift to even give yourself or somebody else to purchase a course and have a learning outcome that you can just work out at your own pace. And the best thing about the courses for me on there is that they are still there. So I can go back and revisit that content anytime. So really, really helpful. And like I said, I absolutely just found I got so much value out of it. And I'm always on there browsing when I've got a little bit of spare time and I think that I might want to level up in a particular area. The last few ones I want to share with you are all around well-being. And for me, that is really exercise based because I love moving my body, and I definitely think, especially during these kind of lockdown times and just generally when I was back at the office, wanting to have a kind of set routine so that I could really get my head into my workouts, get that done for the day and have my energy where I wanted it to be, then I really recommend these 3 apps. So first things first is I do intermittent fasting sometimes, and I don't do this all the time. I feel like I will have little blocks where I might do a month of intermittent fasting, then I might have a break and just revert back to normal eating habits, and then I might do it again. And intermittent fasting for me was something that I did a lot of research into. I'd had a couple of friends do it and have incredible outcomes, and Zero is just a really quick and easy app that just helps you track that. So you input your times when you want to have your food windows, and it just gives you little notifications so that you can really stay on track with that outcome. So for me, like I said, sitting around a little bit more in lockdown, I was just feeling really lethargic. So I wanted to try intermittent fasting as a health outcome. It in no way means that I was restricting my food. In fact, I was literally eating the exact same amount of food, but it was just in a different window of time for that day. And I found really positive outcomes. So couldn't recommend it enough. But like I said, if you are new, it can really help you get that all set up. The next one is a little challenge if you ever want to do it, and that is just tracking your steps. So I just use the standard iPhone health app, and that really helps me follow how I'm going with just general movement throughout the day. So for example, yesterday is my biggest day where I try and get 10,000 steps, and it isn't easy when you work a full-time corporate job. But what I do is I get up really early in the morning, and at about 7 a.m. I go to a local running track and I run 1 lap, and then I walk another, then I walk across the road to the cafe, get a coffee, come home, and then I will go and pop out for a short little walk on my lunch break. And that is enough to get me my 10,000 steps. So it's something that I've really, really enjoyed doing just during this time because we are kind of limited with the gyms being closed. But I do think that I will keep that routine because, like I said, it's helping me see that I'm moving more and getting up and getting out for walks much more frequently than I was at this point last year. So I do think it's just a personal thing, but tracking that really is just an easy way to look at the hours that you sleep, any progressions in your movement, and just your general health if you really want to go in there and input all of your statistics. So great free app, and it's already working on your iPhone now, so you could literally open it up and see how many steps you've already done for today. The last app that I absolutely love is the one called Tabata, and I use this to do all of my home workouts. So I do use YouTube mostly for workouts, and I'm also on an app called MVMT, which is a Pilates app that I use. But aside from that, sometimes I just do a HIIT workout, and because I've kind of done so many classes over the years, I have a lot of the movements all stored up in here. So sometimes I just put on a timer, get out my little bag of gym equipment, and I'll spend 45 minutes doing an at-home HIIT session. And that app is really great because it just has a voice that will count down saying 3, 2, 1 for when you begin, and then 3, 2, 1 for when it ends. And I usually set mine to 40 seconds on and 15 to 20 seconds off, and it will just keep cycling through that. And then you can set it into rounds as well. So you can kind of just like end the round when you're ready to just have a proper minute break. So I try to break it into 10-minute blocks, and it's just been incredibly handy. So would definitely recommend that if you are hunting around for a really good timer app. So that is it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this has really given you a couple of really handy ideas for how you could up your productivity and really just use your phone as a little bit more of a health, wellness, and productivity tool for either your personal life or your business. And like I said, thank you to Jarby Coffee for giving me a little bit of energy to get through all of this with you guys today. I will leave all of their details in the description box down below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.